So first, this is actually my first time to Poland. I'm very excited to be here, although I actually do live in London, so I feel like I know a lot of Polish people already. So Benchmark Capital at a high level is an early-stage, technology-focused venture capital firm. We actually don't have any investments in Poland yet, but we're definitely actively looking. We can invest anywhere between $1 million and $40 million into a company. So for us, the amount of money is not as important as how exciting the opportunity is. And when we invest in a company, we expect that company to become a world-class company. We hope to make 100 times our investment in every company. Now, that's not the way it works. In reality, 1 out of every 10 companies will make 10 times, 5 companies will just do okay, and unfortunately, a lot of companies will fail to make it. But that's inherently what we do, is we take very risky investments and try to help those companies be as successful as we can. So in Europe, we're definitely, the types of investments that we can make, it's pretty broad spectrum. Everything from enterprise software, semiconductors, all the way through a lot of consumer internet type investments, so a lot of social networking and actually Web 2.0 type investments. I found this website, and you go there and you just push a button, and it creates $1 million idea for you, they call it. You can take this idea, go to a venture capitalist in Silicon Valley, and raise $5 million with it. So here's one. I just pushed the button. It actually looks like kind of a Polish name, but ad-supported email via Flash. So a lot of Web 2.0 companies feel that they're just putting together words to create companies. We have another example right here. Ad-supported blogs via BitTorrent. I don't even know what that means, but it actually sounds like a lot of business plans that I see all the time. But the first and the most important thing about Web 2.0 is about connectedness. It's about bridging the separation that exists, whether that's across the world or when I go home from school I no longer see my friends. A great example of this is actually a company we invested in close to a year ago called Bebo. And Bebo is actually the world's 3rd largest social networking site. Everyone knows about MySpace, and there's a company in the US called Facebook. Bebo is actually number 3. Another example, actually just from Bebo, of connectedness, is Bebo Bands. So about 6 months ago, Bebo added the functionality of bands being able to post information about themselves and post songs. And here's Lily Allen, who's actually a famous singer in the UK. But she has 62,000 friends. So 62,000 friends on Bebo. She's put up music, and 62,000 people have said, we want to know what you're doing. We want to know when you put a new song up. We want to know when you have new pictures. And this is what you're never able to do in the past. Now you can actually go directly from the artist directly to the consumer. You can go from someone that produces something directly to someone that uses something. So it's about levels of connectedness that were never possible before. And another thing that I think is important about Web 2.0 is about shattering the existing model. I love businesses that attack an existing model and try to bring it down with new, unique features. So with this new internet, which I think is really the last couple of years, led by broadband adoption and new technologies, you're completely changed the game. And if you're an old existing company that's been around for 50 years, you've got to very seriously look around and see what's happening to you, whether you're in telecommunications or retailing or even mining or whatever else it might be. There are people that are coming after you, and they can do it very quickly using these technologies. So one example that I want to share is a company called Zopa, which is based in London. And what Zopa does is allows person-to-person lending and borrowing. So if I need 5,000 euros right now, I have to go to the bank and I have to sit in front of a formal interview with the bank manager and ask him and explain to him who I am. And he's got a big office building with lots of computers in the back and lots of people running around. And that's expensive to have. What Zopa does, Zopa allows lenders and borrowers to meet on the internet. And so as a lender, instead of putting my money into the bank and getting a very low market rate, I can lend to people on this platform and actually get a much higher rate. And also as a borrower, because there's no big infrastructure costs, I can actually borrow at a much cheaper rate. And Zopa matches the lenders and borrowers together over the internet and destroys a completely existing industry. And this is important. Who would have thought banks were going to be so susceptible? But this is absolutely destroying one of their most profitable parts of their business. And if it is taking off, and as it continues to take off, they're going to be in more and more trouble. So this is another core component of the new internet is about sharing. So MetaCafe was founded about a year ago, and they serve up, whereas YouTube will serve up 150 million videos in a day. MetaCafe is serving up about 30 to 40 million videos per day. In the past, you had to watch TV when you were told to watch TV. You have to go to the movie to see new movies. Now, with sites like this, you can watch what you want, when you want, via the sharing mechanism. We won't talk about the legality aspects of it either. A great example of creativity is a company called Second Life. Has anyone here heard of Second Life? So, a couple of hands. Has anyone actually been into Second Life? Okay, I'm surprised. So we've got a number of people that have actually been in Second Life. Second Life is actually a benchmark-backed portfolio company based out in Silicon Valley, and it is a complete virtual world. And actually, it's a real business now, Second Life. This creativity is now real economics. This is a woman who was on the cover of Business Week a couple of months ago, and she's the first millionaire inside Second Life. And what I mean by millionaire actually is $1 million heir. She's made $1 million by buying real estate. Obviously, I think I might have blown the translation on this also. So freetranslation.com does not work, in case anyone is wondering. But low cost. And so the idea that you can do things for 1/10 the amount of money that it took a number of years ago is also a defining characteristic of all these new companies that are out there. I remember back in venture capital back in 2000, and you would invest $20 million to get a company out so they could build a product and get a website up and running and start testing it. It's literally 1/10 as much now. It costs $2 million at most to get all the way through a public release of a company. What it's actually done is it's actually made it harder for VCs to invest also, because we have ever bigger funds. We just closed $550 million. I know a friend of mine, Greg from Index, is speaking later. They just closed a similar amount of money. And it makes it hard for us to put that much money to work in companies if they only need a small amount of money. Two guys and an idea, and basically that's all they have to do themselves now. Because of all these other technologies, they were able to get 8 weeks to a beta site and another 4 weeks on top of that to a full release of their product. Why? Because they were able to outsource the development to I think it might have been Ukraine. I'm not exactly sure where it was. Web 2.0 is also about death, and not actual death, but about companies failing. And this is all part of the natural cycle of entrepreneurship. And at least in the U.S., and I think it's an attitude that needs to be adopted more in Europe, is that failure is not necessarily bad. There's a lot of things you can learn when things go wrong. And next time when you're out, you say, aha, you know what, I did that last time. I'm not going to do that again. And I think it's very important that people realize that failure is very common and acceptable, and people that have been through that have actually learned a lot from that.
Hello, my name is Alex from Nokia. You're investing in a lot of companies in different countries in Europe.
Yes.
Yes, and Europe is still a fragmented market. What is your strategy?
So there's kind of two parts to your question. I think first is we don't try to copy successful models from the U.S. and bring them over here. That works for some people, but your bet there is that the U.S. company is going to acquire you. So we try to look for innovative ideas that come from Europe directly. No one's going to ask me if Web 2.0 is a bubble?
Is it a bubble?
Good question. So it's also a tough question to answer. I personally don't think it's a bubble because of a couple of things that I mentioned. So the first is the very low-cost nature of these businesses. So whereas in 99 to 2000, VCs were putting in into each, I mean, it wasn't uncommon for a company to have $50 to $100 million in venture capital into that company. And therefore, from that, you forced companies out onto public markets, you forced valuations to increase. Now we're putting a few $1 million into a company, and there's not that pressure to get those companies out. So I don't think we're in a bubble. Yes, I think there's a lot of companies, and a lot of them are similar, but it's not a bubble just because the sheer amount of capital that we put to work is not daunting for us.